Hello there and welcome back to another video. Welcome to this little review of, could say, first impression of the new Total War Thrones Britannia game. Before we start, a little apology on my part. I haven't really been uploading over the last week because I was actually quite sick. Like, you can still hear my voice is still not quite back yet. And also I've been dealing with quite a few things in my personal life that took priority over this, so I apologize. We should go back to schedule next week. But I wanted to make this little first impression video because there's actually quite a few things in this game that I want to talk about. So, as if you don't know, I have been playing pretty much every single Total War game besides Medieval 1 because I never could get my hands on a working copy. Otherwise, I have played pretty much every single one. Most of it in Medieval 2 because that was my favorite, and I don't even know how many hundreds, probably 1,000 hours or something I have in that game. So I know quite a bit about Total War games, playing them ever since. And that's also why I have quite a bit to say about this one, because there are some things in this game that are actually quite innovative and that I quite like. And there are some things in this game that I absolutely despise. And I want to talk about both of them and share my opinion on this new game. So, first up, let's start up with by describing what this game is, for those of you who don't know. This is basically a more historical focused Total War game focused around the period of the Viking invasion of England, or Great Britain. And which is actually a pretty interesting period, especially for me, because as you could probably guess by my name, I'm actually quite interested in the whole Viking era. I have been very much into stuff like the Viking series or the Last Kingdom series, and also read the books for both of them long before the series even came out. And actually, one of them is where I got the name from that I'm using online right now. So I thought to myself, this could be quite interesting. And again, I saw some of the new features they were adding or changes they were making. I was like, this sounds interesting. I can dig behind this. So let's have a look at the available campaigns, shall we? Basically, you can play as all the factions that were available in England or Britain at the time. So you got the English kingdoms, which means Wessex and Mercia. And I'm not gonna try and pronounce it the proper English way. I'm just gonna pronounce it how I know, because I can't pronounce that otherwise. We have the Welsh kingdoms. We have the Gaelic kingdoms, which are more in the northern parts, and in Ireland. You have the two great Viking armies, which are the remnants of the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok, as far as I understood.
We pledge our service.
Which are now controlling parts of England. And you have the two Viking Sea King armies, which are later invaders that have come to England to try and grab a part of the country for themselves. So each of them have a unique starting position, obviously, and each of them have two factions you can play. Some of these starting positions are pretty fun to play. I really enjoyed the, which one was it? The Divlin campaign, for example, because you had a nice little starting area, but you got multiple areas to expand in. But here's where I get one of my first problems with this game. I mean, this is a personal thing, some people might like it, but some of the starting positions are just annoying. For example, the other Sea King army. Basically, you start off with an alliance with the one faction up here, and trade agreement and very good relationship with most of the other factions. So you literally run to there, kill your first little rebel army for turn 1, as you do, and after that you're just, right, so now what? I could attack one of my allies, but people wouldn't like that, so I probably shouldn't do that. I could go sail around the coastline and start raiding, but that will take like 10 turns before I get anywhere. And even then, I would have to clear war on someone and probably start attacking them, and I can't really recruit an army for that because I don't have the food supplies for it, which is a system I'm gonna get into later. So, what to do now? Start raiding someone, but who? Like I said, you are allied with these guys, and you have trade agreements and good relationship with pretty much everyone else around you. You could sail down to Ireland, perhaps, but even that takes ages, so it's a very slow start, and I am not a big fan of that. And a lot of factions here have that. Like, you don't really have anyone to fight early on unless you want to break with one of your allies. So I found that rather annoying. And then there's also the
men are ready to serve
part of Wessex, which is labeled as the easy campaign, but I would actually argue that, yes, while it's easy in terms of combat, because you have so many settlements, you can field greater armies than anyone else, because you start with so much territory. So it's easy in that part, but you first have to get into that fucking land that you have. It's like the Roman Empire in Attila, where you start with like a bunch of settlements, and you have to, like, the first few turns are literally just trying to manage all of them and trying to get that. So what do I want to build where? What do I want to get? What do I need? So how do I get food supplies? Where are my armies? Where's all this? Who's which noble? Who's managing what? What can I optimize? So it's an intense start, I would almost say, because you first, like I said, you have to manage everything first before you can actually start. But once you get everything going, it gets a bit boring because, like I said, you can just field armies that other factions cannot. So you just start steamrolling pretty much immediately. As soon as you've managed your base, your starting area, you can just build up two large armies and start steamrolling people, because who's gonna stop you? The only faction that will actually put up a fight is East Angle. Good from everyone else was just, is your ally or won't annoy you. There are supposed to be Viking raiding fleets coming in later, but I haven't played the campaign that far because I didn't find that interesting. But I assume these could make it a bit more interesting later on. So I'm still a bit of a hold opinion on that one.
All forces in good order.
But yeah, let's have a look at some of the campaign, how they actually played out. I'm just going to continue by this campaign because there are a few things in there I want to show you. Some of the good things and also some of the annoying things. So you can see this is my latest try at the Difflin campaign. And there's an annoying thing that always happened in this campaign. I'm not sure if that is hard-coded or if that's just me screwing up each time, but I am very confused about this. So, at first, you can see right now I'm controlling this entire province, besides my capital, which I'm going to get into in a bit. And I also control parts of these two provinces. I started out with just my capital, conquered my way up here, beating, conquering the entire province, and then these guys, which I usually go to war with after, they started conquering up here, so I cut them off and took the province from them. And then the annoying thing happens. As you can see here, this is the loyalty system in this game, which is one of the things that I found very, very infuriating to deal with. Other people say it's innovative and so great, and I despise it. As you can see here, I have another character here whose loyalty is at 0, which means he will probably start rebelling soon. And as you can see, there are very limited options I have to be dealing with it. I can secure his loyalty, which costs a fuck ton of money. I could assassinate him, it cost even more. I could adopt him, it also cost me a lot of money, and I don't have that much money. I could try to get him a wife, I could try to do some various things to him, try and get his loyalty up, or his influence up. But that will only give him like 1 or 2, and the next turn they are gone already. And I had like 5 people who started going down to 0 the same turn. I have an income of 800 right now. Granted, that was a lot higher when I still had my capital, which is something I'm gonna get into in a bit. But it's still like, I have to spend most of my income to try and pay off my nobles so they don't rebel. Why? Why do I have to rebel? I was winning the wars. I was raiding them, I was beating my enemies, I secured the province, I was building everything, I gave them enough food all the time. I was making slaves, I was making money. Why are they rebelling? I don't get this. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking, but I don't get it. Like right now I just have a bunch of new nobles because like 5 of them rebelled at the same fucking time. While my great army was still up here dealing with remnants of their army. So they just started popping up in my territory and started conquering cities. Where another one of my gripes comes in. These settlements do not have garrisons. None at all. They're just one building things in your main province. Which is fair enough, but I still would have liked to at least be able to give them a small garrison, so I can fend off these annoying one unit stacks that the AI keeps sending in my territory just to capture settlements and then run off again. Because that ruins the public order, that ruins my food production, and it's just annoying, nothing else. Granted, you can do the same to the AI, just build a bunch of small stacks, take all their settlements, and then just siege them while they don't have food to replenish their army, but just just cheesy. Also, I control this little island, and of course another rebel army would spawn up here. Because what else would they do? Right? Yeah, right. So now I have to deal with all of this, and none of that's actually a threat to me, because I have this army, which will crush everything in its path. Look, they are all fully upgraded. There's some decent troops in here. I have cavalry, I have archers, I have javelins, I have my axe infantry, the whole speed line, and my leader, my king, which is actually extremely powerful because I invested most of his points into his combat potential. So his unit is actually really, really powerful. So let's get into that. The characters in this game are actually quite interesting in terms of your skill progression, because you can actually do some fun things with them. So if I look at my king, who is rank 5 at the moment, he's almost fully maxed out in his champion department, which means that his command unit, or his bodyguard, is actually one of the most potent melee infantries in the game right now. These guys are heavily armored. There are quite a few of them, because they also increase its numbers with every point I put into it. And they do a lot of damage. So they are really, really powerful. And I have a lot of buff stats, buff them even more as well, and the rest of my army. There are also other bonuses I could get. For example, if you want to have a governor, you should probably look into scribe and forager, because that will give you more income and more food. If you have a raiding army, you could go for pillager. If you have someone who's struggling with loyalty, maybe get him a priest to get his loyalty up. Siege army, siege engineer, all that kind of good stuff. So you can really build and forge your characters into what you want to do with them. Like I said, if I wanted to build a raiding fleet, I would give the leader of that fleet pillager, so I get more money out of it. Which is something that I really, really enjoy. There are a lot of interesting things you can do with this. This is a good system. It allows you to customize your character. But obviously also, if a character dies or decides to rebel, you lose that character. Which is also quite annoying. I would like it if at a higher level they would eventually just start staying loyal and don't just rebel all the time. It's a bit annoying, to be honest. Especially if they start spawning with a full stack, or rather a stack of full units, which needs a bit of explaining. The recruitment system in this game has been changed rather drastically. You don't just recruit a unit and then the next turn it's there. What you do instead is you recruit a unit. Like I could now get, I don't have the food for it, but it doesn't matter, it's just for demonstration. Like I could now get another Eastern X-Men unit. As you can see, I have the unit right there, but it's not a full unit. It spawns as like 25% strength, and it costs me food. You can see right now, because this unit cost me 10 food, but I only had 9, I'm now out of food. Not rather out of food, I have a bit of a food shortage, which will come in various deficits or positives if I have surplus food. While this system is not as bad as it was with the Skaven in Total War Warhammer, it is a little bit annoying, because I would like it if I could save up food. Like if I had like a good few winters or a good few years where I saved up a lot of food and I don't really needed it, I would like to be able to save it up so that I could then on demand raise an army, even though I don't have the supplies for it, and just keep fed off my reserves basically. I would like a system like that implemented, because that would make it just that little bit more less punishing. Because right now it's limiting your army choice. Like I have had almost 2 provinces and I still can't afford a more than 1 full stack. Which is okay, I guess. I can see the focus on more smaller armies. But I would still like it if I could, like I said, could save up some food and have a bit of a reserve, maybe. Now, there's obviously also a research tree, which will unlock by you doing stuff. If you focus a lot on infantry units, you will get more research opportunities for infantry units. If you want more on civil stuff, you will get more unlocked here. They are basically unlocked by just getting certain things unlocked. Like, I got this one from building a certain building in one of my settlements. This one you get when you get a granary. These one you get when you recruit like 10 spearman units, 10 archer units, with 5 siege battles, and you get better at it, and so you get to research it. Right now I could start researching this. I put my previous point into the arenas because I want the fist fighters. Again, this is an okay system. It serves. It's nothing special, but it works. It works with what the game is. It allows you to again go if you do something a lot, like if you build a lot of armies, you get more. You are allowed to research more into that playstyle, which is kind of nice to reward how you play, which is something I like. Now, let's get into the one of the things that annoys me the most. One of the things in the new loyalty system is that not only your generals can rebel, but also your governors, like the people you put in charge of towns or your province. In this case, that resulted in them just taking over my settlement, my capital. Just from one turn of the other, they just took it over. They kicked out my garrison. Settlement was garrison, so I had an army in there. They just kicked it out and took it over. At the same turn, they spawned 4 stacks all over my country. They spawned one here, one right here, right next to my main army, by the way. And they also got to move instantly. Like, I ended my turn, they spawned, and they got to move. They should at least give me one turn to get ready for it, please. Game. Would be nice. So, what they did then is, again, that shows you the AI not being the smartest. My main army was standing right next to the settlement. Since there's no garrison, there was no fight, so they just took it over. And then they stuck there with 3 units. Right to my 17. And I was sitting there like, why? Why are you doing that? But the annoying part is they did the same all over my country. They just popped into all of my settlements and started taking them over. Without giving me any form of notice it would happen, because it's a random chance if it happens, which is something I don't like. And it just resulted in me losing half my kingdom in one turn. I mean, nothing I was able to do about it, unless I could anticipate them. But then again, who should I give the army to? If the general is just going to rebel, that makes it even worse. So it's just an annoying system that can block you out a lot of options. Like, I can't expand right now. I was at war with these guys and I was winning it, but now they get a time to breathe and catch new troops, because I cannot attack them right now. I have to deal with my kingdom. Granted, in this case my allies actually just took them over because I wiped out their entire army, which is actually annoying because now they will most likely take the capital as well, and I wanted that city because the city is a lot of income, a lot of food. But you can see how this is annoying. It literally blocks you out of a lot of options.
We'll see this through.
Because, like I said, if you know that maybe rebellion will happen soon, you can't expand, and you can just sit there and you can try to pay them off and raise their loyalty again. But if it doesn't work, you're just sitting ducks and waiting for them to rebel to deal with them. There's nothing intriguing about it. There's nothing interesting about it. It's literally just an annoyance, and it slows the game down for me, which is, like I said, I don't like. I don't like it if I have to spend like 10 turns just sitting around waiting, and there's not my own choice, but because the game says, oh, if you go away, then we're gonna rebel and take off your kingdom. Yes, that's nice, I guess. And also, another thing that doesn't help is that the AI will not actually fight you. Like, if you... Again, it kind of punishes even big armies, which is something that I might have to change my playstyle, but... Again, why can I not have my big army? Why is that something the game has to punish? Because the AI will just split up in like 4, like I said, there's 4 or 5 stacks with like 1 to 3 units in it, and just take settlements and then run away. And if I take them back, they will just, the next turn, they will just pop back into me and take them again. That will also lead to rebellion, because each time a settlement is taken, my public order goes down. Which is something, another system, it's like, you can see here on the very bottom, it's a chance to rebel, which is also, I much prefer the old systems, like, oh, you have minus 100 now, and now they rebel. That would be, there's a lot more, you can see, oh, I have 3 more turns to deal with this and do something about it. And I was like, edge turns, like, please don't rebel, please don't rebel, please don't be annoying. I had situations which were actually quite funny, where I had, like, where I was controlling this entire area, plus this entire area, and I had rebels and usurpers spawning up all over the place. And they actually fought each other and killed each other off, which made things a bit easier to deal with them. But then I still had to clean up the remnants, which basically ended me having like 4 small armies running all over the place trying to catch the rebel armies, which were just running away, not fighting me, because they couldn't fight me. But what about the battles themselves, you might ask? Well, the battles themselves are actually quite interesting. I'm gonna showcase you some footage of one in the background right now. The battles actually play out pretty well. I enjoy the combat, the style of combat they've taken with this one. Archers and cavalry are not less powerful, but a bit less versatile. Like, you can't just have half your armies be archer, because they actually won't do that much damage, but they will still provide valuable morale support. Also, like, if a bigger part of your army is made out of cavalry, then you might also run into trouble, because the cavalry, while being powerful in flank charges and rear charges, a direct fight against infantry more than ever will just result in the cavalry unit dying. Which is fair enough, I suppose. If you charge a braced unit of spearmen, you shouldn't be winning that combat. Which in other games should maybe have been the case if you had heavier cavalry. The infantry fights are actually quite interesting. The units just don't just melt away like they did in, for example, Total War 2 with some of the basic infantry units. There's actually a lot of fighting involved, and it means that they will clash shield walls and they will actually bash at each other for quite a while before one of them decides to run away. A little tip that I can give you, if you look at the options menu, there's actually the guard mode is, I think by default, always toggled on, which you should toggle off, because that would basically mean all your units will just stand around and not do anything after the enemy has run away, which the AI will then abuse to run around you and start flanking you. So unless you really want to micromanage all of your units all of the time, I would suggest just turning it off only for units which you just want to stay in the line formation anyways. But like I said, I like how the battles play out, besides some slightly annoying AI bugs. Like, I had a bug where the AI literally refused to fight, which meant as soon as I got closer, they just kept running away until I literally drove them into a corner. Which wasn't that fun to deal with because it took ages. I think it has something to do with, like, I had 3 more archer units than they had, so they literally were, I feel like, almost hard-coded to stay out of the way. Like, they didn't have a saying in it, they literally just ran away from me because they didn't know what else to do. But otherwise, the AI is actually quite good. It will use its cavalry to try and flank around you and kill your archers. It will use its archers to focus on vulnerable units. It will actively try to surround and cut off your infantry units, which means you have to focus much more on your micromanagement in terms of your infantry, which is something I quite enjoy. But it's still a bit lackluster in terms of morale system, because sometimes units will just randomly run away, and then just two minutes later they will just stand there again with their rear turn to the enemy and get charged again and then die. It's the same. The AI will do the same. Interesting enough, I don't even remember how many times already I've caught cavalry units standing around with an infantry unit, which is something that the AI actually should be good at, because it's an AI. It doesn't have to like zoom around the battlefield. It can just automatically manage them. It's just something that's like, that's one of the few advantages the AI has that makes these fights challenging in the first place. It's that it can micromanage all of its units pretty much perfectly if it wants to. It obviously won't have the best strategy or the best armies, but it still can micromanage stuff like cavalry pretty well usually, which is why I'm surprised that like I said, found cavalry standing around, skirmish cavalry even, just standing around and being caught by infantry. It's a bit weird. But otherwise, like I said, the battles are pretty fun to play. They take a bit longer than in for example, the Total War games. The Total War Warhammer games, I mean. And they are a bit more interesting. It's a bit more about line combat, like having your shield boards clash and then move your cavalry to flank around. It's quite intriguing. I like it. But sadly, for me at least, it's not really enough to make up for the campaigns, which are just... I can't, like I said, the food system is alright. The war favor system, which is basically the same, but just you have to, if you win wars, you get fame, and if you, in public order, if you lose stuff. It's nothing special, it works. Same with the tribute system. Just by fighting, you gain these from your enemies, which gives you a bit more income, and yeah, it's fine. Also, each faction has different systems, like the Vikings, for example, have the slave trade. It allows them from battles or sacking settlements, you get slaves. These will give you more public order and some income each turn, which is a nice system. Again, it incentivizes you playing as Vikings. That means raiding, pillaging, plundering, which is fair enough. While, for example, Wessex has a different system that entices more staying at home, defending your country. the new recruitment system works pretty well. It's an interesting system. It at least prevents the AI from just recruiting entire stacks out of thin air, because if they do, they will at least be very weak stacks and you can actually deal with them. So it actually rewards you if you have an army like this that is pretty well equipped and built up and has some experience, and you get to keep that around. That is a really powerful tool, because the AI will not be able to just spawn up another army. It will take them quite a while to actually build that army up. Even if they recruit it all in one turn, it will be like only fourth of the army, and it will take them like 5 to 6 turns to build that up, which gives you time to deal with them. But again, for me, the whole loyalty system and some of the minor problems I hate them. They're so annoying to deal with. Like, they don't, in my eyes, they don't serve a purpose of making the game more fun. Literally, all they do is a minor annoyance. Like in this case. Like, look at this. I will now have to manually run around, destroy all these things, conquer all my stuff. But that's not challenging it. Like, these armies are no threat to me. Like, by military might alone, they should know that. The AI should know, oh, he has like a full stack. What am I supposed to do now? I can't fight that. Granted, they won the smaller skirmishes with my smaller armies, because I only had like 2 to 3 units in them, and they spawned with 4 full units, while mine was still a bit beaten up from just being recruited a couple of turns earlier. But it's still like, why? Why do they all rebel at the same time? Why? It's even more annoying than the rebel system in Medieval 2 or in like Rome. But for me, what really makes this so annoying is this. Why? This is a rank 3 settlement with garrison and everything. I had an army in it as well. This was at the time like 8 units. It was in here. And it just said, nope, we're just gonna kick them out and take the settlement. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you could have done this better. Like, maybe have spawned a bigger army outside the settlement and have them siege it. Maybe disable the garrison while you fight it, because they are not sure about their loyalty. Maybe have a little bit of almost a scenario battle where you fight inside the city with your troops against the garrison, who has just turned against you. But it's like, no, you just gave up the city out. And they have a full garrison and an army standing there. Or like, in my case, they had like 3 stacks like spawning around it and support attack my army. They had garrison as well, they couldn't even flee. Why? It was just with this campaign in particular, this has happened every single time. This is my 4th attempt at this campaign. Every single time. I'm going to show you some footage of this happening before in the background now. Every single time this has happened. Every single time. I think even at a very similar turn, I've been kicked out of my capital. And they all started rebelling. No matter if I paid them off or not, no matter if I gave them make one of them in the air or not, they just rebelled. I, for once, found no ways of stopping it. Which is infuriating. Again, this game certainly has its positive aspects, but I feel like some of these things just have to be fixed somehow. Like, loyalty system should not be as much. If you want to expand and actually fight, and not just sit in your one province all game long and wait and hope that no one rebels so you can maybe finally move out, that should be possible. It shouldn't be punished as hard as it is by the loyalty system. Also, you can't just give them armies and try to put the loyalty down. You really can't afford them armies. It's a bit difficult at this point. The food mechanic, while being way more manageable than Total Warhammer, because you can actually build up a lot of food pretty easily. Most of the buildings give food. It's not that hard to get a lot of it. But it still takes quite a while. So again, it forces you to a bit of a slower playstyle, which I don't like.
Our general is under attack.
I tried expanding very fast in all directions with 2 armies and get a lot of fame and try to push them over that way, but that didn't work. It still well. Like, I had 2 armies, one rampaging down here, conquering everything, and one rampaging up here, conquering everything, and they still were like, yeah, so I had to pull back and give up some of the territory I just conquered just to deal with them, and then pull out again, do the same thing, and another rebellion starts. As soon as I turn my back, someone rebels. And I had the same problem with another faction, with the other king faction as well. Like, I hadn't even done anything. I couldn't have done anything. They already started rebelling. It seems to be less of an issue with the English kingdoms, like Wessex, because they are much more loyal. But even there, you have guys who are, after like 5 or 6 turns, you have guys who will reach 0 loyalty and potentially start rebelling. And since you have much bigger kingdom, they can actually just run rampage if you don't have an army standing near them. Because they will just take their 3 units and just start conquering settlement after settlement after settlement until you deal with them. Which again forces you to literally just have garrisons stationed everywhere close to anyone who could potentially at some point, maybe sometime, rebel. Which slows the game down even more because you have to secure, like, even if in your hard province that is surrounded by your own armies, you still have to have another garrison in there to deal with potential rebels, which I still think is rather annoying. Most other things in this game work. They are not. Some of them are quite interesting, like something food mechanic and the new recruitment mechanic. So war favor. That's all. Some of them are annoying.
We're capturing a victory.
Again, the food mechanic, while intriguing, certainly is still a bit. Like I said, I wish I could save up some food at points, but well, it's not supposed to be. I guess. It's good that the different factions and different races have different kind of playstyle, which is it's good. Like I said, for example, slave trade with Vikings is definitely something interesting. The other faction have other things, so that definitely helps out. Like the Welsh have, for example, have a heroism bar that can fill up to get different bonuses which they get from fighting. Overall, would I recommend this game? So far, I would suggest you wait a bit. Wait for a few mods to come out, fix the greatest issues like they always do. Wait for stuff like radius mods or whatever else you like to play with to fix some of the problems the game has.
They flee before our might.
It's a bit more bearable. The point that it's not a full price game makes it much better in my opinion, because if this was $60, I would be yeah. I would most likely have refunded it after 2 hours because I was like, nah.
The enemy general is dead.
$60 right now. For 40, I can see it. Like I said, maybe wait a couple of weeks till some mods have come out. Maybe wait for them to sale. And otherwise, it's an okay game. It's nothing great. I would have wished way more for this, but what can we do? Maybe it gets better in the later game. Like this is just the first impression so far. What I have gathered from like 12, 13 hours of playtime, starting out different campaigns. I played a lot yesterday afternoon and I played a lot this morning. And so far I said it's alright, but compared to what other Total War games had to offer, I'm just not enjoying it as much. While it's certainly not a broken game, like I think I haven't mentioned that. It was actually these days you have to mention as a positive, sadly enough. It runs completely fine. It has a lot of improvement in terms of loading times over the old games. It works pretty well. It runs smoothly on my PC. My PC is certainly not the greatest machine, but it works. It's fine. The graphics are okay, while I still would wish they would come up with a new engine, make this looking a bit better. This looks like a reskinned Attila in some areas, like in quite a lot of areas actually, which is fair enough I suppose, but again, it's not a full price game, so I don't expect it to be all flashy and stuff, but I would have wished for some graphical improvements. Like some of the animations are still a bit stiff, like the charges sometimes don't properly work, they just literally just walk into each other, which looks weird. Missile trails look a bit weird at times. And a few other things, but again, that's nothing major, that's just stuff that happened at launch. It's nothing to worry about. Again, right now, I don't think I would recommend this game. Maybe wait, like I said, wait a couple of weeks for mods, wait for a little sale, and then you can pick it up and give it a try yourself if you are not quite convinced yet. I will maybe do another review on this once I have like a lot more hours into it and got into the later stages of the game. Maybe it then gets more interesting. But right now, there's just... it feels like it's too stuffed full of mechanics. Like, why do I have like 5 different things I have to worry about in addition to the to my income, my public order, which is what usually Total War games have. I now also have the food mechanic, the war favor, the tribute mechanic, the expedition mechanic, the slave trade, plus my personal goals, plus everything else. It's just it just feels like a bit too much, to be honest. I would have liked if they did it like with Total War Warhammer, where they had like, okay, this game have the loyalty mechanic, so like you could have made it the way that like the Viking factions maybe have the loyalty mechanic, but they don't have to worry about food as much because they rely more on plundering. And then in that case, for example, then the English kingdoms wouldn't have had the loyalty mechanic to such an extent. They would rather focus on farming the lands and making their own kingdom better. There's so much more that could have been done with this game, in my opinion, but maybe that's just me. Please let me know your opinions on this game in the comments down below, and if you've enjoyed this little first impression review, I will do more content on Total War. I'm still doing a Total War Warhammer Let's Play on my channel, and otherwise, don't worry, the more time content is also coming back. Thank you a lot for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good day.